Oh, man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is. Tuesday. Brewsday Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah! Grab a cold one. It's Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar and Six Pack Store. Here is Huck and Big Nate.
And I knew I'm the one who armed you today, and
Well, I wouldn't have even thought of it probably until it was too late. Too late.
well, I should have
Late.
expected it. Direct hit.
Yeah, right in the center of the center of the mass. Those of
Welcome,
you who take gun training, center of the mass. Okay.
welcome into the April 20th edition of Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store.
420.
I'm Big Nate.
Is that
He's
what
Huck,
you
and it
said?
is in fact 420. So it only seemed appropriate to make it happen. And I'll let you start and get into your beer there.
I've got some Rastafari ale, and everyone knows who the Rastafarians are. They're like, it's from, I think, mostly Jamaica. Bob Marley was one, and they like to smoke the spleef.
I was gonna say, from what I understand, child of the world and whatnot, some of my knowledge is very limited, but I do understand that cannabis is a big part of their
Religion.
And
Shoot.
yeah, today seemed like an appropriate day, particularly more so this year for some cannabis inspired, cannabis infused.
Well, I mean, apparently it's going to be legal in
July
July
the 1st. Everyone will be able to possess up to 4 plants, I believe, for personal use. And I mean, obviously, you'll still have your regulations, and it's still illegal federally. But I think we're moving away from that. I think we're progressing. And
I know I can't understand why we have supposedly Democratic everything, and they can't legalize pot. Oh, come on.
like I think I've told you before, I don't know if we've said it on air or off air, and it's probably off air, is that this is really something that they should have been ready for way back in 1933 at the end of Prohibition. And I think it all comes down to how they're going to tax it. I think that's why it's taken them so long, because they never have good reasons for.
You just bring up a good point. The reason marijuana is illegal is because Prohibition ended, and they had all these federal agents, and people of color and the less fortunate were the ones smoking the marijuana. So double, they could be racist and make their money and keep the people down. You know, the man's always trying to keep the people down.
Well, it's been too long. I think we're progressing. I've got the Wicked Weed Brewing, which is just super on the nose. The Brownie, which is a imperial stout brewed with chocolate and natural hemp-like flavors. 8.7 ABV. Of course, it's got that green cross on there.
So you
it's hemp-like flavors, whatever that
you don't
exactly means.
You don't have to go and get munchies after you drink that. They're already in the can.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they are ready for you. They know what they're doing down there in Asheville, North Carolina.
Well, I didn't read this closely. This is Blue Point out of Long Island, New York, and this is a rye ale, West Coast style rye ale. So let's take a rye ale and make it worse by making it a West Coast style. But what the heck?
Yeah, I don't know that.
They were probably high when they designed it.
The saying always goes, West Coast is best coast, but I think, as you and I have discovered recently, is, I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards the East Coast, and of course, conveniently got the Asheville. They didn't need to put West Coast style. Wicked Weed knows what they're doing.
East Coast.
That's actually where we went.
I'm reaching now.
On one of our honeymoons, we went to Wicked Weed Brewing, and
they got a really nice location down there.
They really do, and it's a lot of fun. Everything, I mean, once you get into the city, everything's kind of within walking distance.
From there, you can see Burial and Green Man.
I can tell you that's where our pub crawl began.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I
think
it's where it ended, but we definitely revisited several places.
There's another one back in there too, in that little neighborhood where Green Man is and Burial. There's a third I can't ever remember the name of. But then you got to hike up the hill. I mean, it's like a mountain. It's Asheville. Hike up the hill to get to everything uptown. Who's uptown? I'm trying to think of the name of that one. I can't remember.
I see what they mean with hemp-like flavors.
Do you?
That's the other thing is like I don't have a lot of experience with this, but I know what the taste is.
This is 7.6%. So they're both big beers. I guess if you're going to get messed up, you're that kind of person.
So
you need it with all your vices.
I know we've seen this kind of in Colorado, Washington, and I've got to wonder, California, if it's going to become like a nationwide thing where we've got craft
Nevada.
breweries, if we're going to run into craft dispensaries being kind of a means of tourism as well. Like, do you think, this is completely hypothetical, but a dispensary opens up in Radford City and they've got their own, the River City Reefer. Do you think the tourism department's going to latch onto that and be like, look, we got to bring these people in? Because like, I know Vegas, obviously having their reputation for being a city of sin. Are some of these wholesome smaller towns going to latch onto it, you think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, why not? But the problem, like from the standpoint of beer and hemp, beer and marijuana, is that now you got the ATF involved. And, like you say, how are you going to tax it? But also it's federal and it's illegal. So there are people making beers. I had one like 4 years ago in Denver that was a hemp, it was a THC beer. And that's the first one I ever had. And I may or may not have been involved in making one time. I can't remember.
I'm sure the
details.
statute of limitations is passed.
Yeah. So, and it was pretty righteous. So, I mean, I think it's a thing that should happen. When you poured it out of the keg, there was like a oil slick on the top, and you knew what that was. And then, but it only lasted about 60 days. And then it lost its sheen, if you will.
Settled in. Yeah, I'm trying to think. All of my experiences that would be regarded as a 420 friendly happened in the state of Washington or the state of California, where it is totally legal. Not admitting to breaking any laws here.
No, but I mean, everybody I know that regularly partakes
and bud at the same time. I can't.
Yeah, you have to be careful. But everybody I know that regularly uses weed for whatever reason, a lot of people medically. Ever since it got legalized in Denver, no one's had any problem getting stuff out of Denver. I mean, at all. I mean, occasionally somebody gets busted, but I mean, everybody I know that wants weed gets weed. I mean, I don't know anybody goes, oh man, I can't get weed. Like back in my day when I was a college student.
Seeds and stems.
Yeah, seeds and stems. Nobody knows that now, but we used to say, weed will get you 3 times of no money better than money will get you 3 times of no weed. That's a furry Freak Brothers thing. So, it's a whole culture back in the 70s about, before it was really noticeably illegal for at least white males. And, I had pot privilege. So green privilege, different green or gold in the case maybe. But anyway, so it's come a long way. And it's been differently. It depends on where you are, how much it's enforced, depends on who you are, how much it's enforced. So, I mean, I think they should get to a level playing field, tax it if you must. That just creates a black market. I mean, I'm just going to tell you. So then we're still going to have a police function. So, it's out there. The cat's been out of the bag for about 5 or 6 years now, in my opinion.
I mean, I also think it's something that's just so tricky to regulate. Like alcohol to kind of, I mean.
So currently they have.
Pot's not something that's commonly getting smuggled in from other countries because it grows pretty discreetly. Whereas like you can't just really conveniently set up a moonshine still without someone noticing. Am I wrong?
I think you're wrong about that, but you can't, unless your grandma's willing to go out and buy a bunch of Sudafed, it's really hard to make crack or whatever they make out of that anymore. And, they're still bringing in crank and all that. And fentanyl is like cheap, really, really cheap to make in really, really small amounts kill you. So, I mean, that's probably, if you want to enforce something, that's probably the one you need to go after.
No, and it's definitely something that's it's a much safer self-medication. I think.
So I take CBD oil, and then I've been taking some gummy bears, and they're Delta 8. Apparently, they have some THC in it, but in the state of Virginia, they're illegal. They are illegal. Now, if I were to get a drug test, I mean, I don't take them very often. Just when, if I'm really sore from working or whatever, and I need to sleep, I take one. But And they're, they're like anything else. They are slightly mind altering, and I prefer alcohol for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thing is I think booze would continue to be mine, but there's an obvious benefit both to the economy, people's mental health, people's physical health.
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
I quit smoking, the weed when I was about 27, and strangely enough, about that time my career took off. And my theory is that pot makes you lazy. Sorry, guys
Or
and gals.
Or you were in the wrong line of work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a musician or, maybe factory work, just as long as you don't puncture your hand or something. But I mean, for the kind of work I did, you had to be energetic. And so it doesn't do that for most people.
No,
I'm just saying.
I've not found that to be the case.
But that being said, I mean, I think it's, I'd much rather go to a party where everybody's smoking than a party where everybody's chugging tequila, because there's going to be a whole different outcome at the end.
There's no song saying weed made her clothes fall off. There is for tequila, and sometimes you just
panty dropper
chaos.
Panty dropper.
That's
the tequila.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any. I don't know. I haven't looked at. I've always wanted to go into a pot dispensary and just haven't explained every one to me. But when you go in there, you feel like you're looking over your shoulder. There's a speakeasy. Oh, they got big jars of weed. What the heck? And I was going to write an article about it on my blog, and I just didn't do it. But I went to 3 different ones in Denver, and the first one was like upscale, high class, and they check your ID outside. Sir, going, Mr. Bowles going in, and I get in there, and then they have somebody that shows you the product. And then once you decide what you want, you fill out a little form. They slide it through, and you go into the next room, and you pay. And then you go to the 4th room, and you show your ID again, and then they give you the weed. And it was like, then I go to one uptown, like in the suburbs, and I go in, and they're like, "Oh, just go get what you want. Are you 21?" I'm like, yeah, just go get what you want. And I did. And then they gave me like free stuff because it was my first visit. Actually, a bartender at the brewery gave me a card, and then they gave me free stuff. And this woman was panhandling on the way in. And so they gave me a free joint. I didn't really want it, so I gave it to her. I felt, it was free.
I have 2 dispensary experiences, one in California, one in Seattle. And it's amazing how night and day different they were. So the first time I went to Seattle, I was like 12, 13. I was a fairly independent kid. So like I was walking down in West Seattle to a record store called Easy Street Records, I think is what it's called. And in the middle of the crosswalk, this was before it was legalized. In the middle of the crosswalk, a guy legitimately stopped me and said, "Can I help you?" Help me with what? This isn't a store. What the hell's going on? And that was weird. And when we got back to our family friend's house we were staying with, told them the story. They're like, "Yeah, he was trying to sell you weed. It's a little concerning that that's going on in our neighborhood." Cut to a few years back, I'm in Seattle, and they've got dispensaries all over the place. And you walk up to them, and they like are out front, like you said, like ready to take your ID, but they're also like trying to get you in, the doors. And that was easily one of the strangest shopping experiences I've ever had. They kept referring to themselves as chauffeurs. And the one I went to, chauffeurs.
They're driving you crazy,
driving people around. What the hell? I mean, it couldn't have been easier. California was a nightmare. Their system needs to be figured out.
Well, first of all, when we were in California, they're not allowed to be on a main highway. And so we're out in the middle of national parks, and I'm like, hey, maybe we should go to a dispensary. And it's like, I asked the guy at the gas station, hey, you got like 16 miles down that windy road. I'm not doing that. So I never did go to one in California.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna try, I've not experienced Colorado, but Seattle seems like the place to go. Just if you're looking to take that adventure, which I was.
Denver, they're on every street corner. Now, the thing you got to remember, they do not stay open after dark for obvious reasons. They're dealing strictly in cash. They all close at dark.
Well, my thing with California is I was like, all right, this is going to be like the pinnacle of the experience because you've got Haight-Ashbury. Most of the 60s took place in most of the important parts of the 60s took place in California. You got Snoop Dogg and that whole Cali funk scene. So I was like, all right, they've got to have this unlocked. But I was completely underwhelmed with the entire California experience.
You bring up Snoop Dogg in Vegas. I decided to go to the dispensary and get some stuff, just for the heck of it. I don't do that often. So I like his little electronic pens that have like 10 hits in it and throw it away. So I was going to get one of those. So it was like a mile from the casino, and I didn't feel like getting an Uber just to go there. So I walked. Well, it was really windy, and by the time I got there, I was like, no, I'm not walking anymore. So I go in and make an order. I come out and I hit Uber, and this car comes around the corner, and there's like these pom-poms all around the windshield and carpeted dashboard. And the guy driving it, I'm pretty sure, was actually Snoop Dogg.
Gotta be.
Looked just like him. And I opened the door, and I'm a sitter in the front Uber kind of guy. It's different guys. And some of the drivers don't like that, but I like to sit in the front. I like to pretend you're my friend giving me a ride. And he's like, "What'd you get?" I'm like, isn't that a little bit so? I'm a little bit uncomfortable here sharing some marijuana with my Uber driver.
He wanted to share. He was ready.
That's what he was ready. He just sat there and waited for somebody to come in out of the shop to get an Uber. I'm going to discontinue the story.
He says no to every job except
that's what I'm thinking.
It's by a dispensary.
For the everybody's not getting arrested. I'm not going to continue the story, but there you go. That's what happened to me, and it was Snoop Dogg that drove me back to my hotel.
You'll have to tell me off air. Before we go any further and lose track of time, which is apparently
I think on this show that should happen.
Let's rate these bad boys. He's Huck's Beer Buzz on Untapped. I am Horror Show.
I'm going to say, I'll go first. The Blue Point Rastafari rail. Rastafari rail. I'm not a rye guy, but this is actually, they did a pretty darn good job with this. Normally you get a rye and it's not smooth. This one's very smooth, good mouthfeel, and it's 7.6%. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to give it a 4.25, and probably the highest score I've ever given a rye beer.
All right, that's respectable. This Wicked Weed Brownie. So, hemp, marijuana, cannabis is the sister to hops. I mean, the way they grow biologically, the way they're related, they're very, very similar. And, I read the Imperial Stout brewed with chocolate and natural hemp-like flavors. That might be weird. It's got to be like mixing an IPA and a stout. No, this is extremely well balanced. The hemp-like flavors, as they're calling it, very mild. They're there, but I think they complement it. And, as we've talked about before, Imperial Stout, not necessarily my go-to, but I would definitely drink this again. I'll give it a 4.5. It's incredibly solid. The Wicked Weed Brownie, highly recommend it. You can get your hands on it. And with that, we'll take a break here.
Guess you better play something by, Bob Marley.
Bob Marley would be good. Maybe some 311. We'll see what we're feeling. Brewsday Tuesday brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store. We'll be back after some rock on 105.3 The Bear.